All right, let's talk about something that happens way too often at work, but we rarely have a good game plan for it. We're going to break down exactly how to handle disrespect when it comes from a leader.
Have you ever had that feeling? You're in a meeting, you're focused, you're in the zone, and then, bam, a comment comes from your boss. And it's not about the project, it's about you. It's a personal jab, and it just leaves you reeling. It's like this emotional gut punch that can totally wreck your day, maybe even your whole week.
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we need a completely new way to picture this. I want you to think of that insult not just as words, but as a thing, an object. Imagine it's a heavy, messy, emotional ball that your leader is desperately trying to get rid of.
And here's the absolute key, the big shift in perspective. That insult, that heavy ball, it's not actually about your performance. It's about their inability to handle their own stuff, their stress, their chaos, their pressure. They are literally trying to hand you their emotional garbage.
So let's really break down what this throw is. I mean, how do you know for sure that it's a heavy ball and not just tough, but maybe necessary feedback? Because telling the difference is absolutely everything.
Well, here's how you know. It really comes down to this. A critique is about the do. It's focused on your work, the project, the report. The whole point is to make the work better. An insult, on the other hand, is about the who. It's a direct shot at your character, your intelligence, your value as a person. One is professional. The other is a personal attack. Plain and simple.
The engine driving this whole insult-throwing thing is a classic bit of psychology. It's called projection. When a leader is feeling insecure or out of control or like a failure, they can't sit with those feelings. So what do? They project them. They throw them onto someone else. Their feeling of incompetence suddenly becomes your supposed incompetence.
And this whole thing plays out in this predictable, kind of sad little cycle. First, the leader gets triggered by some stress. Second, they throw that heavy ball of negativity right at you. Now listen, because this is the most important part. The damage isn't done when they throw it. It's done in step 3, the catch. The second you instinctively absorb that comment, that's when the weight transfers. They get a tiny moment of relief, and you're left holding their junk.
So why is catching this ball so terrible for us? In the moment, it might even feel easier to just take it and move on, right? Just keep the peace. But the long-term cost is just incredibly high, not just for you, but for everyone around you.
The first big problem is what happens inside you. You catch that ball enough times, and you start to believe its weight is actually yours to carry. You start to internalize it. And that just chips away at your self-esteem, it kills your creativity, and a little part of you starts to think that maybe you deserve it.
The second problem is what happens outside. Every single time you catch that ball and you don't say anything, you are teaching your leader that it's okay to throw it. You're basically giving them a green light to keep being toxic, and that poison eventually spreads to the entire team culture.
And look, this isn't some abstract, fluffy HR theory. This has massive, real-world consequences. We know that psychological safety is the #1 thing that predicts a high-performing team. Fear literally makes us dumber by shrinking our brain's ability to think critically. This exact dynamic is a huge reason why we're seeing big trends like quiet quitting. People are just done. They're not willing to keep catching the ball.
Okay, so we get the problem. We see the cycle. We know how damaging it is. The big question is, what do we do about it? How do you, in that split second, refuse to catch the ball?
Well, when that verbal attack comes flying at you, your brain's survival mode kicks right in. You're going to want to fight back, argue your case, or you'll want to shrink away, apologize, just make yourself small. That's flight or freeze. These are totally normal reactions, but here, they're not effective.
The most powerful thing you can possibly do is to override that instinct. Don't fight, don't flee. The whole technique starts with one simple, totally counterintuitive action. You just pause. You create this little pocket of intentional stillness. Here's the 4-step method. First, as the insult is coming at you, you visualize that it's a reflection of their character, not yours. Second, you embrace the silence. Take a full 3 seconds. Trust me, it's going to feel awkward, but that silence is leverage. It puts a big spotlight on how unprofessional their comment was. Third, you deliver your pivot phrase. And finally, you immediately steer the conversation right back to the work. This is the phrase. I'm serious, memorize this. It is so calm, so professional, and just incredibly powerful. Look at what it does. It draws a perfect, bright line between the do, your work, which you are totally open to talking about, and the who,
your identity, which is not up for debate. You're refusing the personal attack while showing you're still committed to the job.
When you get right down to it, this whole technique is about a fundamental choice. It's about recognizing that you are the one in control of what you let in. You are the gatekeeper of your own dignity. Eleanor Roosevelt absolutely nailed it when she said this: "Disrespect actually requires your participation. An insult needs you to catch it to have any real power over you. And by learning to just pause and pivot, you are simply withdrawing your consent."
So the next time a leader hurls that heavy ball of negativity your way, I want you to picture it. See it coming through the air, and then just do nothing. Let it fall to the floor with a thud. Step right over it, and calmly and professionally continue with your work. That is how you master workplace disrespect.